We are Montrose High School history students and teachers who were able to honor the memory of Western Slope soldiers by walking in the footsteps of World War II soldiers who sacrificed their lives in Normandy.
Both kids and adults in American society, they don't understand all the sacrifice and the commitment that Americans have made. And I think watching Talia and Natalie at Arlington, at the American Military Cemetery in Normandy, and they saw the changing of the guard at Arlington, and we laid a wreath there, and we laid a wreath at Normandy, and them giving their eulogies, is seeing the level of respect, seeing the silence, seeing even though they were with everyone and like taking in the experience, all the people there and those guys were like, this is a moment.
A lot of young teenagers are disconnected, and sometimes I'm disconnected even though I've been through this amazing experience. And I feel like through this experience I've gotten a lot better at connecting to our past and learning about how lucky we are and who has fought for our freedom.
We agreed to write a biography on the soldier that we chose from around our area. We also wrote a briefing paper, and then we also had a eulogy for our soldiers as well. When we were walking through like all the memorials, they had the Korean War and the Vietnam War, and they had a wall of a bunch of names of people that had passed away and died during those wars. And we had gotten to walk along it, and just like taking a moment of silence in front of that wall, it was just really impactful and really like important. It really like settled in, like that's when it started to settle in that this is what we were like doing this for.
The physical presence, like being at Normandy, where it really stood out starkly, and there's images of this, like watching the two girls at Normandy, like they took sand from Omaha Beach, where thousands of Americans' blood is still mingled in at some molecular level, and they rubbed that sand into their soldier's name to make it go from almost hidden to popping out of the cross. And as they rubbed that sand in, like it brought that sacrifice very much into the present.
All the places that we went to were you could just feel that it meant a lot to the people of Normandy, and it meant a lot to me. You hear either the briefings or the eulogies, and you just gets to you, and then you're amazed that people died here, and you get to live an amazing life because right there, right in front of you, is where they paid their price.
When we had gotten to my soldier's grave, and there was an American flag and a French flag stuck into the ground right next to it. A lady working at the cemetery had told us that a French teacher had come with her students and shared a little story about my soldier with them. And just to think that my soldier, a man from Colorado, is known here in France as well, and that the French teacher wanted to teach her students about him, and I think that would just that was incredible.
We have to be so intentional, and that's why things like Veterans Day is so important, so that we don't forget and that we continue to recognize and thank people who are still serving.
Does it have to happen here for us to respect it or think about it anymore?
I think that's what makes it so much more important for us to actively work really hard to not forget and to really remember, because we don't have the physical memory there constantly reminding us what our soldiers have done for us and what they continue to do for us, because we are lucky enough, blessed enough to not have had to suffer that here.
The most important thing other people my age should realize is that they're still around. Our trip to Normandy, we went to a bunch of memorials, but they're still around, and we have time to thank them and be so grateful to them for what they've done for our country.
Natalie and Talia mentioned how powerful the Holocaust Museum was. And there's a wing of the Holocaust Museum that is dedicated to the heroes, like to the people who didn't stand by and watch. And as you entered that wing, and I still can't tell the story without kind of tearing up almost. Hopefully I'll make it through this one. As you enter that wing, there's a town in Scandinavia that stood up and said, we are not going to let the Germans take the people from our town. We're going to hide them. We're going to respond. And when they went back to the town and asked the guy who led the effort, and they thanked him, world and newspapers, and they said, like, you did something amazing. And his reply was, I don't know why people thank me for doing this. I don't know why they think I did something good. I did what was right. I don't deserve any thanks. And if that's the only thing I could teach kids, that doing what was right is what matters.